Would Boston really dare to break what looks untouchable, or is this exactly how dynasties are built? At first glance, the idea of Giannis Antetokounmpo landing in Boston feels almost reckless. The Celtics are winning without Jayson Tatum, sitting near the top of the East and projecting as a finals favorite the moment he returns. But then the unexpected happened. An analytics-driven thought experiment forced a deeper question. Not if Boston could get Giannis, but if it should even want him. On paper, a Jaylen Brown for Giannis swap looks clean. Salaries align. Star power is undeniable. Yet the reality is far more uncomfortable. Brown is in the middle of an MVP-caliber season, just 2 years removed from being Finals MVP, and fully embedded in what many around the league call the most disciplined culture in basketball. The Celtics are not just winning. They are winning with continuity, trust, and a roster built to survive playoff chaos. Giannis, meanwhile, remains one of the most dominant forces the league has ever seen. But the cracks are impossible to ignore. Since 2022, he has missed significant time, including long playoff absences. Calf issues continue to resurface, and front offices quietly worry about what comes next. Big, explosive athletes rarely age gracefully, and Boston knows this better than most after years of managing stars with fragile timelines. Here is the controversial part no one wants to say out loud. Trading for Giannis could actually shorten Boston's window, not extend it. Giving up Brown would mean sacrificing a two-way wing entering his prime for a 31-year-old superstar whose availability is becoming a gamble. Does that align with Brad Stevens' obsession with sustainability, cap control, and locker room balance? Or does it introduce volatility into a system that currently feels bulletproof? From Milwaukee's side, the Celtics' angle is tempting, but dangerous. Brown keeps them competitive, but does he reset a franchise stuck between loyalty and decline? Teams like Oklahoma City or Houston can offer youth, picks, and patience. Boston offers immediate relevance, but not a clean rebuild. So where does that leave this scenario? Floating in uncomfortable truth. The Celtics might be the rare contender strong enough to say no to Giannis. Not because he lacks greatness, but because timing, health, and culture matter more than star chase. And the real question lingers. If Boston passes now, will this restraint define the next era of Celtics dominance? Or will it be remembered as the moment they blinked while history was available? What if the next big Celtics move is not about who they trade for, but who someone else gives up first? The name Trae Young is suddenly shaking the league. Atlanta is openly exploring a trade, and that alone changes the temperature of the deadline. Young is only 27, a former All-NBA guard, and still one of the most dangerous offensive engines in basketball. Yet the Hawks are ready to move on. That tells you everything about how fragile star value has become in today's NBA. Boston is not calling Atlanta. That part is clear. Trae's $46 million salary, his defensive limitation, and the looming $49 million player option do not align with Brad Stevens' philosophy. But ignoring Trae Young would be a mistake, because this trade is not about Trae, it is about the chaos he creates. If Atlanta moves Young, money has to come back. Multiple players will be involved, contracts will be reshuffled, big men will be displaced, and suddenly the Celtics are paying attention. Boston is quietly scanning the league for frontcourt depth, controllable contract, and playoff playable size. A trade deal could push exactly those types of players into the open market or the buyout pool. Here is the uncomfortable angle. Atlanta has been linked by league insiders to a bold Anthony Davis pursuit. That only happens if Young's money disappears. If that door opens, a chain reaction follows. Veterans become expendable, centers become negotiable, and contenders like Boston benefit without ever being in the headline trade. There is also a deeper truth. Trae Young being available signals that teams are done building around flawed stars. The Celtics already made that choice years ago. Two-way wings, defensive accountability, financial discipline. While other franchises pivot, Boston waits. So no, Trae Young will not wear green. But his exit could quietly shape the Celtics' deadline more than any rumor directly tied to them. And the real question is this: When the dust settles, will Boston strike surgically while others scramble emotionally? What if the Lakers' desperation becomes the Celtics' opportunity no one is talking about? Los Angeles is reaching a breaking point. JJ Redick has openly admitted the defense is failing, and the front office knows cosmetic fixes will not save a roster now built around Luka Doncic. That is why a radical idea is gaining traction. Cutting ties with Austin Reeves to chase a defensive enforcer like Dillon Brooks. On the surface, it sounds extreme. Dig deeper, and it exposes something far more dangerous for the rest of the league. Reeves is about to get paid. League executives already project a massive contract this summer, one that could cripple flexibility for years. For the Lakers, committing that money to a one-way guard next to Doncic is redundant. For Boston, it is a warning sign. This is what happens when teams hesitate to choose defense over comfort. Dillon Brooks changes games without touching the ball. He guards stars, he disrupts rhythm, he drags teams into uncomfortable possessions. That profile is exactly why contenders value him, and why his price keeps climbing. If the Lakers push Reeves into the market, wings and defensive specialists across the league start moving. That ripple matters to Boston. The Celtics are not chasing Brooks, but they are watching closely. Every team that overpays for offense tightens the market for two-way wings. Every desperate move by Los Angeles raises the value of Boston's roster construction. While others debate sacrificing young scorers, the Celtics already built a system where defense decides playoff series. Here is the spiciest truth. The Lakers' dilemma proves Boston is ahead of the curve. The league is rediscovering what the Celtics committed to years ago: versatility, physicality, lineup flexibility. When teams like Los Angeles start panicking, Brad Stevens gains leverage without making a call. So no, this trade is not about green jerseys changing hands. It is about market pressure. And when the deadline chaos peaks, Boston may be the calm center of a league that finally understands what wins in May and June. The real question is not who the Lakers trade. It is who benefits when they do. What if the next Celtics move is shaped not by Boston's needs, but by Atlanta's fear of collapsing from the inside out? Atlanta's center problem is no longer subtle. It is actively costing them games. And the Kristaps Porzingis situation sits at the center of that tension. When Porzingis missed time recently, the Hawks went into free fall, exposing a front court with no physical backbone, no rebounding insurance, and no margin for error. That is where Jusuf Nurkic enters the conversation, and why the Celtics are quietly paying attention. On the surface, this looks like a Hawks-Jazz deal. Nurkic is available because Utah has a bigger agenda. Danny Ainge is not hiding it. The Jazz need to lose. Their rebounding is accidentally winning them games, and that is a disaster when a protected pick could otherwise stay in Salt Lake City instead of feeding Oklahoma City's growing empire. Moving Nurkic solves that problem instantly. For Atlanta, Nurkic is not a star. He's something more dangerous, a stabilizer, a body that absorbs contact, ends possessions, and allows Porzingis to survive an 82-game grind without being the sole line of defense. If the Hawks believe Porzingis can stay healthy for even half their remaining schedule, adding Nurkic becomes the difference between relevant and irrelevant. Now the Celtics angle. Boston already knows Porzingis better than anyone in this league. They know his value and his limits. If Atlanta commits to keeping KP and spends assets on Nurkic, that closes one potential Celtics pathway. But if Atlanta hesitates, or if KP's health wobbles again, Boston suddenly becomes the silent leverage point in every Hawks conversation. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Ainge, Atlanta, and Boston are all playing the long game. One wants to lose properly. One wants to survive now. One is waiting for the market to crack. Nurkic is not the prize. Porzingis is the pressure point.